Welcome back, handsome viewers. I've just come off the end of a 10-hour Voidyvids live stream, obviously covering CitizenCon Day 1. And I thought I'd just quickly get a video out to you guys to cover my sort of quick fire thoughts on the day as a whole. Overall, very cool. We'll touch on each thing sort of, one by one. I'll throw some B-roll up here somewhere. Must admit, the stream itself was a lot of fun. Thank you to all the handsome viewers who pulled in for the duration of the stream. We did some prizes, we did some giveaways. It was a really good time. We hung out with It's Not Fair, Nerve, Major Star stuff towards the end, Gadoobadish, Dread Pirate, we call him Dread Pirate Crowbirds. I don't think Screen Name was there. Gadoobadish pulled in, I think I mentioned him. The usual suspects from Voidyvid's YouTube videos. Touching back to CitizenCon Day 1, 2954. The presentation sort of started off with Planet Tech stuff. We saw some new biomes. They were already sort of highlighting the densities that they're capable of reaching, which was, this is exciting stuff. I guess it's, it's pretty cool. We've seen, there's one thing with Star Citizen, it's that the Planet Tech, nobody's ever complained and said, wow, this Planet Tech sucks. It's always incredible, and they continue to push the boundaries of what their engine is capable of. So it was awesome to see that stuff. We got to see the jungle biomes. That was, something that a lot of people sort of predicted that we'd see some more diversity in what we're sort of capable of in the game these days. So yeah, very cool. The one thing is that they showed off like the hover bikes once again, sort of traversing through these locations, and you see stuff like that and you go, well, man, I've been on a Drake Dragonfly before, and that's not exactly quite how my experience was. Will we see another rework to make them more viable in situations like this, especially like these ultra dense jungles and swamp type locations where there are like trees every couple of feet? It'll be very interesting to see how that sort of plays out. Will they ever get these bikes to a point where you really experience that Star Wars Luke Skywalker on the speed of fantasy zipping through trees and stuff like this? That was kind of interesting to see. Again, it's that marketing versus reality sort of representation that we saw at CitizenCon. And then the other thing, we start seeing these like massive redwood forest trees, which are like, taller than a carrack kind of a thing. The reality of the game is when you fly a ship and you clip one of these trees, your whole ship will either break apart or flip on its nose or something like this. All I could think of during this presentation was, are we going to see some kind of like destructible fauna where, the might and power of a UEE spaceship, doesn't cower before the might of a branch, or a twig. So hopefully we'll start seeing stuff like that. And the other thing that I could keep on thinking about was, are we going to see some like more dinosaur-esque type, flora and fauna, some alien dinosaurs roaming around some jungles one day, or some swamp areas one day? There was a weird reptilian creature, I think towards the end, right at the end, with the flash by scenes of Squadron 42. The after the main demo, after the live sort of playthrough. But yeah, after the Planet Tech stuff, during the Planet Tech stuff, they started to talk about clustered points of interest, which was very interesting. It seems to be adding some kind of logical flow to the way that you experience points of interest, right? So, within one cluster, you'll have like a bunker, and then nearby there will be other sort of forward operational bases, or whatever they call them. If it's a mining outpost, you're going to have some caves nearby. So this seems to be making, hopefully it becomes more worth your while to visit locations like this. If you're just on your own or with a small crew is exploring the game and looking at things and trying to make a quick buck or whatever, there's always hopefully something interesting to do at these locations being clustered like this, right? So nobody's ever organically stumbled across a cave in the game at the moment. You know what I mean? It's like these caves, they're so like arbitrarily placed that nobody really, unless you launch your ship and you're like, cool, we're going to go investigate this cave, you don't organically stumble across one, right? And maybe this clustering is the solution to that, right? And the way that they're distributing more resources and minables and stuff like this. So hopefully in a server meshed world, stumbling across, if you're a pirate and you stumble across somebody mining at a location like this, there's some gameplay there for you, kind of a thing, right? So very exciting all around to see that type of stuff getting hinted towards, and I didn't expect to see anything like that, so it was pretty cool. What else have we got here? Alongside that presentation, they showed off the AI dynamically sort of reacting, its cone of vision sort of as it traverses terrain, and understanding, oh, this is a wall, I should avoid this wall. Typical AI stuff that we see in a lot of games, but not a lot of games I think do dynamic detection of objects like an Ursa rover driving by becomes cover, right? The AI can see this thing and say, oh, okay, cool, this is a tactical position that I can move to and sort of interact with. Again, Star Citizen and the AI doesn't have the best reputation. Obviously, we've always running on like really terrible servers, and the AI never really quite performs the way they probably think it does, or sometimes there's this feeling that the devs don't really play the game. So hopefully server meshing will fix it. We've all heard that before. So we'll see how that goes. Very cool. How long until we start seeing this stuff in game? Who knows? Alongside that, Ursa actually driving across and becoming sort of dynamic cover for AI. They also showed off destroying a bunch of assets and shooting up a wall and stuff like that. And the AI being able to detect that and realizing, oh, this cover's been blown, I can move over here. So this is cool stuff. Nothing too crazy. This is the type of stuff that a lot of Star Citizens at this point really are. People anxiously waiting for this game to finally become something worth playing for the mainstream, I guess, is something that I often talk about. It's stuff that's not really of interest to them, right? This is just how we expect the game to play one day, right? And no matter how complicated or how, to scale it is and how much we take it for granted or whatever, I think that there truly is a lot of amazing development going into this, a lot of stuff that hasn't been done before on levels that we don't quite understand, right? It's a massive project with a huge undertaking, so kudos to the devs for that type of stuff. It all looks incredible and sounds incredible, and I can't wait to experience it firsthand. Then I think we started to take a look at the org features. This is standard MMO stuff. Very, very cool to finally see some iteration of it coming to Star Citizen again. By what patch? Who knows? Looking for group org management tools, looking for specific parties to accomplish specific goals. Oh, you want to go and hunt a sandworm. Let's, form a party together and go and accomplish that. How they're going to prevent this from being abused? They've got the rating system and stuff like this, but, people will find a way to abuse the system, myself included. There's nothing better than, putting a beacon, not a beacon, but like making a group where you're looking for people to help you move cargo, but one of your guys, it's an inside man, right? And you send them off to find the cargo, and then your whole piracy, org drops down on these people and steals all the stuff. This kind of thing could happen in the future. Who knows? Might be exciting, might be terrible. Anyway, the more tools that they put in the players' hands, I think the better. So we love to see it. We want to see more of it. Can't wait. And then they topped that presentation off with org branding, which I don't know if anybody expected that after the lack of player customization for ships and paints and stuff like this. So it looks like you can upload some kind of like PNG file of your org logo and then hopefully customize some colors and do some ship paints and stuff like that. That's what it looked like based on the video. So super interesting, super cool. Then the presentation moved on to Starware, and this is where they started to introduce sort of armor customization, which was fairly interesting. Okay, so first they showed off mixing armor with clothing, which is something that everybody's kind of wanted for a very long time. It's super awesome. But now that you've got these like highly specialized armors where like you're increasing your stealth or increasing your armor and apparently cranking that up a notch, how does that is the average Star Citizen not always going to be decked out in the specialist armor of their choice? Does it mean that the customized armor with all the stuff that looks amazing and looks great for RP and hopefully has some degree of like functional use, right? Like, am I the fastest when I'm, can I equip a railgun to my back while I'm wearing clothing and then be super fast while wielding the railgun? This is the type of gameplay implication stuff that I start looking at. And then, you've got these like hyper customized sort of armor sets that have armor set bonuses, right? That's very cool. That's very gamey. This is the type of stuff we want to see in the game, right? So when you wear the full tracker set, you now have the special tracking capability, or, when you're fully decked out in the heaviest tank armor, then you have, you don't get knocked around by small arms fire. This is very cool. It was a bit weird to see them say that you can still pilot a ship even though you're wearing like the heaviest armor. You're just going to become less effective, less agile. Maybe the joystick can't move as far between your legs type of thing. It kind of makes sense, but it also kind of, like what becomes the point of suit lockers and stuff like this if you don't need to swap all the time? Like, applying it to gameplay, I can think of like, oh, cool, you're decked out in heavy armor. You've just jacked a ship full of cargo that you want to now get the hell out of there before you get destroyed. At least you can now do that without stopping and then like taking all your armor off, getting into the pilot chair and then flying away, right? So there are severe gameplay implications here. People's opinions will probably swing widely from one to the other, but who knows? This looks like the way that they want to go in the initial sort of direction, but as we all know, game dev is iterative. They might change their minds at the drop of a hat. We'll see. And then what happened? Yeah, so after that presentation, they had the Sandworm, man, and I did actually call this. I know it's annoying, people say, oh, I totally called it. I actually added Sandworm onto the Voidyvid's bingo card before that sort of presentation started, so I was like super stoked to see the Sandworm. I kind of had a feeling that we'd see the Sandworm again. It wasn't the old friend. The old friend was Nyx. I thought that the Sandworm was going to be the old friend. But yeah, that whole gameplay loop of like, it's like this raid boss where you're all coming down on this sort of Sandworm to, eventually harvest its pearls and teeth and stuff like this. Super awesome gameplay. I don't think anybody can really fault them for this type of stuff. It's like incredibly exciting to have this level of, I don't think anybody really suspected to see that type of gameplay at CitizenCon this year, right? I could be alone in that. I don't know. But what really sort of got me scratching my head is, you've got a game where a large majority of the player base have like gone and bought Idrises. They're just going to rock up and like, two-tap this thing with a size 10 railgun, right? Like, is this going to play out the way that they have in their minds? Like, what is the actual practical way that this is going to sort of, happen? You've got Hornets and all these ridiculous science fiction starships of mass destruction. They're just going to like sidestrafe this poor worm and absolutely obliterate it, right? Like Redeemers and Idrisi and Javelins, Retaliators are going to, nuke this thing from orbit. So it'll be interesting to see how that stuff plays out. And then, what I started thinking about was like, once this thing dies, could you have sent somebody with the looking for group system and, they were a spy all along. So now, when the thing's near death, your entire org descends on these poor people who are about to finish off the Sandworm and you sweep in at the last second and steal the entire thing's sort of resources, right? Interesting, abusable, but I mean, this is the fun thing about MMOs, is that this type of stuff is hopefully going to be possible, right? It's not like these things are going to be instanced like the stuff that we'll talk about soon. After the Sandworm presentation, then they showed off like all the other fauna that are apparently in the works, and they just showed some like very simple sort of concept art for those things. Some of them, a lot of people have seen before. I'm sure there was a Marok in there was like the pyro crab and stuff like this. So, I was hoping to see more physicalized, like rendered in-game assets of the same sort of quality and scale of the Sandworm. Storm walls were nowhere to be seen, so that was a little bit disappointing. But overall, what a great surprise to see the Sandworm in action and a whole group of people fighting it to take it down. Very cool. Then we saw some stuff about like going down into the depths of a place like ArcCorp. This immediately made me think of like D3 rifts, like Diablo 3 rifts, where you continually unlock progression, and as you go deeper and deeper, it gets harder and harder. This sounds like very instanced, specialized PvE content. So, not my cup of tea, but if the rewards are worth it and there's a reason to go there, cool. More gameplay is good gameplay. So, not too much to say about that. They're basically dungeons, I guess. Whereas, like, the Sandworm is the raid boss. The dungeons, maybe you go down there with like a smaller group or even solo. And then we got to see Nyx, which was the old friend from, CitizenCon. I mean, CitizenCon's past. We got to see Levski. It's been reimagined and redesigned in a new type of asteroid, which is very cool. And Castra, I mean, it looks like Orison with mountains. It's super spectacular. You can't fault anything CIG do with regards to planets and, cloud tech and all this type of stuff. Oh, that reminds me, there was also I think I missed it from one of the earlier presentations. I didn't miss it. I mean, I haven't spoken about it in this video yet. The Zeus, like they showed off the clouds coming in and like dynamic weather and this type of stuff. I never thought that they'd get to that point where their cloud tech could become dynamic and like, become rain and stuff like this. So that was very cool and very surprising to see. Lightning and stuff making ships less viable, or, you know, slightly more risky to take out. Again, hopefully implying that there will be more uses for ground vehicles in the near future. And then we went off to the Squadron 42 live gameplay showcase headed by Rich Tyra. He sat down and actually played the game, which was, I mean, it was pretty much exactly what I expect from Squadron 42, right? A highly cinematic experience that is basically going to act as like a, you know, your introduction to the Star Citizen universe, right? Like, up to this point, we've just had, like, you know, minor snippets of YouTube videos and things like this. We don't have a meaty thing to tuck into that really puts us into the game and you know, lets us live the lore, if you know what I mean. This hasn't happened yet, right? It's in this awkward state where the game's there's lots of lore, there's lots of you know, bits and pieces to, you know, like when you play the game, you can read a contract and get a sense of the lore and a sense of the identities of factions and things like this. But, you know, we haven't sat down and experienced, you know, we haven't sat down and watched Star Wars, but we kind of know who the characters of Star Wars are, right? This is the kind of feeling that I'm getting from, like, where we are as you know, Star Citizens, kind of a thing. It looks incredible. You know, a lot of the guys that I was talking to during the stream were you know, well, I mean, just Major Star stuff was basically saying that, you know, where's all the gameplay, right? This is like a massive, it's like an hour-long movie with, like, little bits of interactivity now and then, which is, you know, maybe to that degree I didn't quite expect it to be that bad. Well, not bad, but you know what I mean. It's a very tricky balance, right? Maybe the contrast, or the balance of, like, interactivity to you know, cinematic is a bit off. Maybe they've leaned too hard into the cinematic direction, but again, it is the prologue. It is setting the stage. It is introducing you to the universe. It's, you know, throwing you into this world, and you know, what better way to do that with, you know, a bloody Vandal kingship rocking up and ruining everybody's day in the Vega system. It looks incredible. There's no two ways about it. It looks hands down like one of the best games ever, right? Visually. A little bit, you know, I mean, how exciting can turret gameplay really be? You know, the ships, from my opinion, they seemed to be moving a little bit slowly, which was a bit funny. You know, that's master modes for you, I guess. And then they ended off, you know, okay, so during the Squadron 42 sort of movie, I actually found myself getting quite engrossed. I was enjoying the crap out of that, man. It felt like watching a really good show or really good series or something. And then, like, you know, what's his name? Squadron 42 themselves rock up, led by Superman himself, and come and save the day, which was pretty cool. And then you get this massive gut punch right at the end of the day, where they dropped a 2026 sort of year target window, launch window for the game. And I thought, you know, immediately on my stream, everybody's sort of mood seemed to become incredibly somber and incredibly, not outraged, but like disappointed that 2026 is their launch window now. And that does seem a bit far away, man. It seems like, you know, hopefully it's early 2026. And I sat there trying to, like, reconcile and be like, shit, that, you know, we thought it was a year away. Now they're saying it's yet again 2 years away. What is going on, man? But, you know, if this is how long these things take, you know, it's not all doom and gloom, right? A lot of the stuff we saw was cool. Then we've got, you know, 4.0 is literally on the horizon, where we're going to get our first proper, you know, taste of server meshing. So, I don't know, man. This man found a way to print money to work on this interactive movie and massive multiplayer space game of his and our dreams. And it's up to us to decide if we want to be patient and hang on for the ride, I guess. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, put in for the stream tomorrow. Voidyvids, twitch.tv/Voidude. We had a great time today. We'll have a great time tomorrow. Cheers.